Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for the Tech Guy is provided by Cachefly. CACHEFLY.com. Hi, this is Leo Laporte, and this is my Tech Guy podcast. This show originally aired on the Premier Networks on Saturday, January 30th, 2016. This is episode 1257. Enjoy. The Tech Guy podcast is brought to you by ZipRecruiter. Are you hiring? With ZipRecruiter.com, you can post to 100-plus job sites, including social networks, all with a single click. Screen, rate, and hire the right candidates fast. Try ZipRecruiter with a free 4-day trial now at ZipRecruiter.com/TechGuy. And by Credit Karma. This year, you may not make it to the gym every day, but you can work out your credit score with Credit Karma. Get your free credit report at creditkarma.com and see why over 45 million people have joined. That's creditkarma.com. And by Epson's new EcoTank printers. With Epson's line of SuperTank all-in-one printers, you can print thousands of documents without running out of ink. EcoTank is loaded and ready to print when you are. Visit epson.com/EcoTank to find out more. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the Tech Guy. Time to talk about computers and the internet and home theater and digital photography and smartphones. Wait a minute, I got to do it. Wait a minute, I don't know. It's radio. I don't know why I do this, but I hold up my smartphone when I say smartphones, and I hold up my smartwatch when I say smartwatches. Smartphones, smartwatches, and all that jazz. 8888. Ask Leo is the phone number. 888-827-5536, toll free from anywhere in the U.S. of A. or Canada, and I'd love to hear from you. So give me a ring if you're outside that area. We have lots of listeners all over the world thanks to the internet. You can always use Skype out. Call that phone number. Shouldn't cost you anything. It's a toll-free number. 888-827-5536, toll-free from those areas. Windows Phone is dead. Long live iPhone and Android. That's what Tom Warren writes in The Verge. And it's based on Microsoft's quarterly earnings report. This was a good week for people who like to read financial reports. Not me. Kind of hard to miss, though. Microsoft, Facebook, Apple, Google, all announcing how they did in the last 3 months. One of the things we learned, and usually you don't learn a lot in terms of individual products from these quarterly reports, because companies don't really want to say, well, and certainly not Apple, oh, we sold 1 million smartwatches. They don't want to say that. But we have learned that Microsoft sold 4.5 million Lumia devices in the last quarter. That's down year over year from 10.5 million. Okay, that's bad. But the worst of it is that when you include Microsoft and Nokia together, over the whole, year, how many years? 5 years, whatever, that they've been selling these Windows 7 phones and Windows 8 phones. Now Windows 10 phones. They've sold a total of 110 million. Now, in my world, selling 110 million of anything seems like a lot. But you have to compare that to the fact that at the same time, iOS and Android were selling 4.5 billion, more than 40 times more phones. And then you look at the sudden drop year over year, 57% in sales, and you have to say, I guess it's over. What's really sad is Microsoft's known this is over for a while. They took a write-off for the Windows Phone division. They said, yeah, we lost all that money a year ago. So they know. What's sad to me is they still have to make it. That's got to be hard when you know a product is just a flop and just nobody's interested. And it's hard to put your heart and soul into it, and yet Microsoft is fully committed to continuing. In fact, they even say they're working on a Surface phone, playing off the brand name that they've created with their tablets and laptops. A Surface phone. Oh. Oy. On the other hand, on the bright side of things, Apple had the I think the largest quarter in the history of American finance. What's interesting is Microsoft stock is blowing away Apple stock, but there's a reason, because Apple, it's pretty much acknowledged now, has completed its massive growth. It's done. Microsoft's stock up 26.5% over the last 12 months. Apple's down 18%. And yet, golly, and yet, man, did Apple have a great quarter. Profit of $18.4 billion. They made more than $6.13 billion a month profit for the last 3 months on revenue of $75.9 billion. That means their profit margin, 40%. Now, if you've wondered why iPhones and Macintoshes and iPads are so expensive compared to the competition, well, now you know. 40% profit margin. That's good. That's a good number. That's a great number. But the stock market didn't like the news. There's people who cover finance. I'm not one of them. I don't want to be giving you stock tips. It's not my interest to give you stock tips or talk about the markets. It's my interest. Is this a good product? Is this company doing a good job? Is it something you should consider buying? How to use it? That's what I do. But it's hard not to look at these numbers and go, "Whoo, wow, that's a lot of money." And one of the reasons I don't cover the financial markets is because everybody's decided that's it. Apple's over. Because the growth, this is the deal, the growth in the iPhone was only 1%. And that makes sense, right? At some point you run out of humans. And you can't sell anymore. The big growth last year was China, Apple entering the Chinese market. In fact, this quarter, big growth in China. But eventually you saturate the market, and then you can only sell another phone every few years. And you know what? What a surprise. Apple thinks it's saying, it's advising investors. That's where we are. But in the last 90 days, 1 billion active users of iOS devices worldwide. 1 billion. Nice number. Nice round. Lots of zeros. Lots of commas in that number. Record sales, Apple said, of both now this is one of those meaningless statistics. Record sales of Apple TV and Apple Watch. Record compared to last time, I guess. Record, but we don't know. What does that mean? They sold 2 last year and they sold 4 this year. They doubled, right? I don't know. No detailed numbers on those. But you have to say Apple is successful. Apple's doing okay. But Apple is asking the question, as every tech company must, what's next? They say they've ridden this wave, this incredible success of the iPhone now since 2007, almost 10 years. The growth has been astronomical. The profits have been astronomical. But now they say, They say that every quarter. You got to praise a company that finds a way to make $18.4 billion. And why the stock market hates that, they missed on revenue. I don't know. I don't know why. Doesn't matter to me. Facebook had some big numbers. We want to talk about big numbers. Facebook also had its quarterly earnings report. This is the one time of year where you get companies, and these are all publicly held companies, kind of telling the truth, kind of because they have to by law, about how business is. And then all the tech journalists, myself included, we all look at the numbers and try to understand what it means, even those of us who really can't read a balance sheet to save our lives. Quarterly earnings surpassed $5 billion. These numbers are so massive for the first time. And that means that Facebook has licked the problem that's been challenging it for some time, which is mobile ad sales. As Facebook moved, most of Facebook's business now is on the mobile device. People don't go to the website nearly as much. And as that move happened, Facebook stock, I don't know if you remember, was down. People were worried. Can Facebook figure out how to sell on mobile? Well, apparently they have. 51.7% jump in revenue. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, that's good. Their profit, okay, remember Apple, $18 billion. They only made $1.5 billion. Facebook, $1.5 billion. Come on. That's $500 million a month. But when you compare it to Apple, it's like, whoa, that's chicken feed. Facebook stock did go up, of course. And then I'll give you some, we're going to run out of time here before the break, but I will give you later on in the show some numbers Mark Zuckerberg posted on Facebook of users that just are mine. The numbers are when you get in the billions, they're meaningless to me. Hey, let's talk tech. Really, that's what I'm here for. Answer your calls. 8888 Ask Leo. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. That's what we're talking here, baby. Money. Money. Serious money. Some Facebook numbers from Mark Zuckerberg. 1.59 billion people use Facebook every month. 1.59 billion. 900 million WhatsApp users. Remember, Facebook bought WhatsApp for a significant amount of money. Probably panning out. But remember, Facebook has its own messaging platform. Messaging is the hot thing right now in Silicon Valley. 800 million Messenger users. So you add the two together, that's a big number. And then 400 million Instagram users. That's up by about a third over the last year. Instagram was a deal. They only paid $1 billion for that. I remember when we used to say things like, $1 billion for an app. Wow. The WhatsApp acquisition ended up being more than $22 billion when all was said and done. It's okay. Mark can afford it. He could actually write a check because the number left off here that I buried the lead. Mark Zuckerberg, now the founder of Facebook, founded it when he was in college. 6th richest man in the world. He's worth $47.5 billion and never gave away control of Facebook. He never had to raise money to the point where he had to give away control. So he kind of controls it all by himself. Heather Hammond. Between us, we have probably $47.50 to share, so we're only 1/billionth.
I got some quarters. I mean, come on. What were you doing in college? I was like a DJ, and I thought I was
listening to that song we just played.
Thank you.
Dreaming. Money. Yeah, I was a DJ. Of course I was. That was going to be a big bucks proposition there. Oh, man. Well, was that? See, I was a Chinese major in college. So was that or teaching Chinese, neither of which would probably be the most lucrative things in the world. Anyway.
Chinese turns out to be a pretty good thing
now.
these days.
Yeah, now. If I'd stuck with it, I could be a translator or something.
You could be Apple's dude in China.
I did at one point was considering taking a job with Apple in Japan back in the maybe 80s.
Huh.
Yeah. Probably.
Then you'd be big in Japan.
There are a lot of missed opportunities along the way. But there she is, Heather Hammond, ladies and gentlemen. Don't miss her. She is our phone ranger, answering the phones, prepping you for your appearance on national radio.
No regrets. Thank God I took the road I did because I'm here today.
You see? It's all worked out. Who should I speak with first here? See, you wield the power.
Mm-hmm. It's a very powerful position I'm in. I get to choose Bill in Denver on line 1.
On line 1. Bill, you've been selected.
Well, thank you very much. What an honor.
Thank you. It's an honor to speak with you. Thank you for calling.
Here's my dilemma. I know you like the Note 5. I've got a Note 3 that I've had for a couple of years, and I like the phone a lot. With one caveat, it seems to me the antenna in that phone is mediocre at best. And I'm about to move to a new condo. It's in a bigger building that's concrete and steel. And we were in there this past week, my wife and I, with 3 other people. And I'm in the middle of this condo, 20 feet from the window, and I've got 1 bar and 3G. My wife is standing next to me with an iPhone 6s Plus with 3 bars. She's got AT&T. I've got Verizon.
Oh well, you can't compare them then because.
But here's the catch to that. There are 3 other people in the room, and I said, okay, everybody get out their phones. and about half of them had Verizon, half had AT&T. There were probably 4 iPhones, my Note 3, and another Samsung that I don't know what it was. It wasn't a big Note. It was something else. Mm-hmm. And everybody had 3 bars except me.
Well, first of all, the bars, the amount of bars you're seeing is not a standard. There's no agreed upon standard. In fact, after the antenna gate of the iPhone 4, Apple recoded the bars to show more bars. So the number of bars is not a good way to measure. There is a code that you can enter in to see your signal strength. There are also programs you can run on Android, not on iPhone, but there are programs you could run on Android to see what your signal strength is. That, you know, if you really want to make the test, was a more interesting thing to do. You dial I don't know if I should say what the code is because people might screw up their phones. Star 3001 number sign 12345 number sign, and then you call that number, and all of a sudden you'll see this what's called field test mode. Okay. And that's when you're going to see what really matters, which is the number of dBs down you're getting from the antenna. It will vary, you know, along a fairly wide range.
I think I got to that on my phone by going into, you know, other networks and
Maybe. Yeah, you might. I can't remember if you can do that or not. And Apple would never let you see that information. They don't want.
I did see it on my phone. I thought I was like down 110 or something like that.
Yeah, the closer to 0, the better.
Okay.
So 110 is pretty weak. That's like 1 bar. So maybe it's right.
And that's what I was.
The problem is it's very difficult to understand what kind of signal you're getting. The real test is, do you get dropped calls?
I do get some.
Yeah, it either works or it doesn't in digital. These are all digital calls now. So it's not like the old days where it would, I can hardly hear you. You know, remember that in the old days of cell phones? Yeah. It would get choppy and weird. You don't hear that anymore. It just goes away. That means 0 bars. And that has a lot more to do with it, whether how many cell sites a company has. Your positioning to the cell site has a lot more to do with it than the antenna in the phone. I would say nowadays. Remember, you're also using an old Note. It's 3 years old now.
Yeah, it's 2 years old now.
Yeah. I would say companies now understand they aren't making the same mistakes Apple made in the iPhone 4, which was pretty horrific. Apple put its antenna on the outside in a metal bar, and if you do that, it turns out if somebody holds that metal bar, which
I remember that.
Yeah, it attenuates the signal. Well, that's the only thing you can do because that's how you hold the phone. And Steve Jobs famously said, "You're holding it wrong."
I saw that.
But we couldn't figure out how you would hold it, avoid that problem. Anyway,
like 50 million people holding
it wrong. So it's very hard to judge. The real judge, I would say, the only real way to judge is, you know, are you getting good, not the bars, but are you getting decent bandwidth and
mediocre? I have some situations where the phone doesn't ring; it'll go to voicemail.
Yeah.
You know, I had another situation.
Yeah, I've had that happen too. I guess you're right. I guess that would be you're not getting a signal. Yeah.
Not a strong enough one, apparently.
Yeah.
I mean, is it either a signal or no signal, or
Yes, it's either you're getting a call or you're not. There's no medium because it's not analog. Digital is either on or off. So
I was in a rural area, and a kid who works on this property that I have, we were standing there, and I used to be able to get a signal, Verizon signal on that property with an old LG flip phone years ago. And now with this Note 3, I can't get a signal there in this one spot. And this kid standing next to me with an old LG flip phone, Verizon, and he's got 2 bars and he's making a call.
Well, that's true because we decided now we want our antennas internal. Remember, you used to pull up an antenna? That was better. But we've decided that we want our phones inside antennas inside the phone, and furthermore that we want metal phones, and all of it's just gone to heck in a handbasket. So
Does anybody test?
That's the problem. It's so hard to test. You can test it, and there are tests. But it's so specific to your situation, it's not necessarily meaningful. If you got a new phone, it'd be better. Bottom line. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. And that magic music means one thing and one thing only. We're confused. No, it means it's time for Scott Wilkinson, the home theater geek. That's the name of his podcast. Don't blame me. I'm not calling him a name.
I'm a proud geek.
He's a proud geek, as am I. And Scott is also the editor-in-chief at the AVS Forums, which is the site for people who are interested in everything home theater. Hey, Scotty.
Hey, Leo.
How are you today?
I'm doing good. Next week.
What's that?
Super Bowl.
Is this the week that more people buy TVs than any other?
Even more than Black Friday. Yep.
Yep, it seems like you
exactly.
waited too long. I don't understand that, really.
Well, and here's the other thing about it is that, the super great deals you're going to get this week in preparation for the Super Bowl are the 2015 TVs. They're last year's TVs.
Right, because the new ones aren't in yet, right?
No, they typically come out in the spring.
Yeah.
So
this is not a good time to buy, but I know what happens. I understand what happens because you've been happy watching that TV all season.
Yep.
And then you realize the neighbors are coming over to watch the Super Bowl with you, and you're embarrassed. I can't let them see this ratty TV. And you want the latest and the greatest and the state of the art. You'd think the companies would time their new releases for this week, but maybe not.
Wouldn't you think?
Maybe they want to clear it out.
I think they want to do inventory clearance is what they want to do. They want to clear it out for 2016 models. Yeah, exactly.
Well, give us some advice. What should we look for? How should we do this?
It's pretty interesting. I think if you're going to spend money on a 4K TV, which is sort of what you're going to get these days,
you can almost not get less, right?
Almost not. Yeah, you can, but they're at the very bottom end of people's lines, manufacturers' lines.
Yeah.
I've seen a bunch of deals, of course, and if you're going to spring for one, I would get a Samsung, what they call an SUHD TV.
Okay.
Which is their high dynamic range TV. It's already capable of high dynamic range. It more or less conforms to the new specifications called Ultra HD Premium, which
that's what you'd like to get, but there aren't any Ultra HD Premium sets out there, right?
Not yet.
Okay.
That's 2016.
So that's what you'd like to, but this is 2016.
I know, but
when
that's
did the new models come out?
Spring, like April.
So
May, kind of that area.
Okay.
But the 2015 Samsung SUHD TVs, which are identified in the model number, they have a letter J and a letter S. So if it says JS 7000 or JS 8500 or JS 9500, which is the flagship, that one that's going to be SUHD. It's going to be able to accept a signal with a particular, probably the most common type of high dynamic range called HDR10, which is an open SMPTE standard. SMPTE is the Society of Motion Picture and Television Engineers, and they've come up with a HDR system that Samsung implemented in their TVs, and others now have too. But that sort of future-proofs you for the next few years anyway. So if you're gonna,
there's going to be a Super Bowl next year. You could get a TV then too.
Yeah, you get a TV every year, right?
I can't have last year's model.
Yeah.
Is there an advantage? Do they work out bugs? Like, is there an advantage to not buying right at the beginning of the new season, waiting a few months? Do they improve? Are there bugs?
Well, yeah, that's a very interesting question because LG last year in their OLED TVs, they had a real problem, which is sometimes called vignetting, which means and in this case, it means the edges of the screen, the right and left edges of the screen, had a kind of a weird darkening effect, particularly in dim scenes. In bright scenes, it wasn't obvious at all. But when you were looking at dim scenes, low light scenes, you could sort of see this weird non-uniformity.
That's funny because it used to be the other way around, that the edges were brighter.
Yeah, well, that's with edge-lit LCD TVs.
They would leak out around the edges on computers too. But now it's dimmer.
It's dimmer. And they fixed the problem. But it only in the TVs, the OLEDs that were made after a certain date, because it was actually a hardware problem. It wasn't a firmware problem. So, I'm of the school generally. I don't buy version 1.0 of anything. I usually wait because there's going to be bugs that are going to get worked out.
And you can thank me because I buy version 1.0 of everything.
Exactly. I always listen to you.
So that's unfortunately, my job. But also my preference, because I'm an impatient dude, and I suffer all the bugs and flaws.
Now, I found something very interesting. A guy named Don Jenkins wrote me an email and pointing me to a CBS website. Because, the Super Bowl, it's number 50. It's going to be on CBS. And apparently they're using a couple of interesting technologies this year for the first time. One is they're shooting much of the game with using what they're calling 5K cameras.
Wow.
Now, they don't identify the camera.
But they're reds. That sounds like
I
reds.
bet you that sounds like red to me too. Precisely.
Wow.
Precisely. Now, reds are typically a cinematography camera.
Yeah, they're not often used for live.
Exactly. So that's a little confusing.
No, you can, though. You know how I know? Because remember that cruise ship I was on?
Yeah.
Some of the cabins, which didn't have windows, had a giant screen TV. I should have found out what the make was, where a window would be. And I noticed up on the bridge, they had 2 red cameras. Red's the brand name, pointing left and forward. And those were the images, the live streams they'd put in those cabins. So if it was raining, it'd be raining. If it was sunny, it'd be sunny. If you were in port, you'd see the port. So I know you can stream 24/7 live from those cameras.
Right. Well, then that may very well be what they're doing. I know Grass Valley is working on some broadcast cameras that are in the 4K range.
Black Magic is also good stuff. And so there are a lot of choices. But 5K sounds to me like those reds.
Sounds like red. Exactly.
Yeah.
Another thing they're going to do that's very interesting.
By the way, if they shoot 5K, is there somewhere I could see it in 5K?
No, that's the thing. There's no broadcasting yet in 4K.
Okay.
Now this fellow who wrote to me said,
I can't. Wait a minute. You're saying not only can I not see 5K, I can't even see 4K.
No, you can't. However, he said, "Oh, great! So now I'm going to be able to watch 5K on my 1K plasma." Well, but this brings up another interesting point, which is if you capture an image with higher resolution than you're going to end up with, you actually get a better result.
So they downsample? How do they do it?
Yes, they do. They downsample it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
They're also going to use these new 360-degree cameras, which I'm a big fan
that
of.
looks really cool.
Tell us about that.
Well, they're going to place like I think I read 36 cameras around the field, and they're all taking pictures of the action from different perspectives, and they're going to knit that all together, and you're going to be able to they anyway will be able to sort of move around, sort of like virtual reality, and see a given play from several different perspectives, from 36 different perspectives.
There's a good article in Wired magazine about this, the cameras that'll make the Super Bowl more interesting this year.
Yeah.
They say there will be 70 cameras for the 2016 Super Bowl. That's up a lot from last year, which had only 40 cameras.
Only 40
Only
cameras.
40. They'll still have the sky cam. You know what I love is the pylon cam. That's the one in the little orange cones that are at the touchstone.
Which they're going to have those as well.
Love those shots because they always get clobbered.
There was some questionable touchdown about whether somebody made a touchdown or not. And
you look at the pylon
cam. Yeah.
And iVision 360. This is going to be for replays because you can pan around.
Yep.
And see, well, let's see what that is from that angle and this angle and this angle.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
It's going to be fun. I think I do need a new TV. Scott Wilkinson, AVS Forums, and don't forget his podcast, twit.tv/HTG. I'm Leo Laporte, the tech guy. They have 36 cameras on the top deck of Levi Stadium.
Yep.
And of course, most of them down in the red zone. But they can see the whole field. And what I'm hoping is that we'll be able to see, like, gosh, I would just love to see all of this. Wow.
Wouldn't it be great?
Yeah. This is right by Lisa's seats.
You guys have seats for the Super Bowl?
No.
Oh.
So she has season tickets. She has a seat license. You have to pay an exorbitant amount just to get tickets to see the Niners. And then they have a drawing among all the season ticket holders to see who's going to get one ticket for every 2 you own to the Super Bowl. And we didn't make it in the lottery.
Didn't make it. Oh man.
That's all right. You'll be able to see much better at home.
Nah, it's true.
Right?
It's true. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if I were a sports fan, I would much rather go watch it at home because then they may very well play that iView 360
right.
thing.
I think if there's a disputed play, it's going to be phenomenal.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, I give it to you, my
can't.
friend.
Thank you so much.
You
I'm
see
happy
the clock.
I do see the clock,
Yes.
and I
Just a few minutes left.
User 7959, won't the Super Bowl be broadcast in 720p? You know what? It's CBS, which does not. They broadcast in 1080i. So this is a very interesting question. I can't imagine that they would change their normal broadcast format from 1080i to 720p. Sports is better in 720p, that's for sure. But I can't imagine that they're going to do that. They're going to take those 5K images, and probably they have some standard high def cameras in there as well, and they're going to down res those higher res images to 1080i and broadcast it all out as 1080i. But as I said, if you capture something in a higher resolution than you're going to end up with, you get a better result than if you capture it at the final resolution. So that's going to be kind of interesting. We're not going to see broadcast 4K or Ultra HD, I think, for a couple of years. That's my guess. Korea is working really, really hard to have it up and running in Korea for the 2018 Olympics, which I guess are in Seoul or somewhere in Korea anyway. So by 2018, we'll have it in Korea. I don't know whether we'll have it in the U.S. yet or not. And and whether or not the Korean Olympics will be broadcast in 4K. So it's all very interesting. Hey, Sybil, good to see you. So yeah, the Super Bowl. I'm going to be watching I'm not a football fan. Anybody who knows me knows I'm not crazy about football, and especially now with all the revelations about concussions and head injuries and damage and that sort of stuff. I mean, I realize it's a huge money-making thing and it's going nowhere anytime soon. So, but I personally am not interested in it. But I am going to be watching the halftime show, because not only is there going to be Coldplay, I think, and a couple other big name stars, Gustavo Dudamel, the conductor of the LA Philharmonic, is going to be conducting his youth orchestra on the field of I assume it's on the field of the Super Bowl game. And that I want to see, because Dudamel is amazing. I've seen him conduct a number of times, and man, oh man, he is great. He plays the orchestra like an instrument. That's really the best way I can describe it. It's really beautiful. And he is a strong advocate for music education and giving children the opportunity to play music together. And he's got this youth orchestra here in LA, and that's who's going to be playing at the Super Bowl. I'm super, super happy about that.
You probably won't see it on TV, though.
You don't think?
No.
Don't they do this? They do the halftime on.
Is it part of the
TV?
halftime show?
Yeah.
Oh, all right, then you will. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the phone number. What a great question just before Scott Wilkinson of how do you judge the antenna in a smartphone? And I have to acknowledge that we as the tech press have fallen down on this. And there's a couple of reasons. You don't hear, and I was just looking at the geekiest blog I know, which is Anand Tech. I mean, these guys, they are geeky. And they measure the CPU. They measure the display, the screen. They have tests galore. Do they measure the one thing that matters on a phone, the antenna and the sound quality? No. Because these are hard to measure is one reason. They're very difficult. Sound quality is somewhat subjective. Antenna effectiveness requires specialized equipment. And in a way is subjective too. You can give an objective number for the antenna quality, but it will really your mileage may vary substantially, not just where you use it, but where you use if you go somewhere, it may something that seems like it worked great may work very poorly. And there's another reason though, which is that at least those of us in the tech press, we don't really use our smartphones for a phone. It's a computing device, and phone calls are the least of it. We use messaging, we text messaging, we use it as a computer for browsing, for playing games. I don't know. There are people still who use their smartphone as a telephone. It seems very old-fashioned, and I think that there's kind of a hidden bias among the tech press that well, who cares what the sound quality is? I know I feel that way. I don't care. It's good enough. I can make a phone call. So I apologize. I don't really. I think the equipment to measure this stuff is difficult. It's hard to find and it's expensive, and so it's very difficult to find the tests. Unfortunately, signal tests are performed by the carriers and companies like Root Metrics that are paid for by the carriers, and I know you've all seen the Verizon ad where they have the bowling balls. Look at how good our signal is. It's the best according to root metrics in the whole world everywhere. And I would just say that's nice, but it's meaningless. It only matters how the signal is where you use your phone. So the carrier with the best nationwide service is meaningless. What is the carrier with the service where I'm using it? That's what I want to know. And I think that it is very considerably depending on where you are. So I would just say it's hard to tell. It's hard to know. And really, the best way is to ask people, or to, if you have a phone. It's interesting because our caller was asking about the Note 3, which is a couple of years old. Nice phone. I love the Note 3. I've had every Samsung Galaxy Note from the Note 1 to 2. These are the first giant phones. It's funny because they've become more giant. The current Note 5 is 5.7 inches. It's huge. It doesn't seem huge to me at all. Maybe I've just gotten used to it. It seems like a normal phone to me. It's even bigger than Apple's iPhone 6 Plus, which is 5.5 inches. But Apple's continues to use metal backs for its phones. And metal, as you know, is bad for antennas. It blocks the antennas. What Apple does is they put plastic strips on the phone for the radio frequency to leak out. I have to think that that's not as good as a glass or a plastic back. The Samsung Galaxy Note 3 had a plastic, very thin, flimsy, in fact, plastic back, as did the Note 4. With the Note 5, Samsung moved to glass. Glass does not impede radio waves either. Apple used to make glass-backed phones. Remember that? But they've gone to metal. People seem to want metal. And in fact, the latest Google phone is also metal. I have to think that we've gotten better at antenna technology and that they've figured out ways to make this work. But I really couldn't tell you, and I don't know anybody who could, which antenna is the best. I don't know if that's known. Somebody needs to do some measurements, I guess. I'm sure the FCC knows. Man, I remember going to the FCC and seeing their testing some years ago. This was a long time ago, because they have to test how much radio waves the phones are putting out to see if they're damaging. They actually have a mannequin, a human body, that's lying flat on its back, and it's filled with this weird goo. And they have, in the goo, they have measurement devices. The goo apparently simulates human flesh, I guess. It's somehow. And they have antennas in there. And then what they have is a robotic machine that moves the phone all around the body. And rotates the phone, does all sorts of movements. They do it robotically so they can have consistent measurements. So they are measuring things like that. I doubt very much that Engadget is. Partly because of our own bias against phone calls. Among the tech community, everybody loves T-Mobile's hidden deal. It's on their prepaid plans page, but it's a great deal. It's unlimited texting, unlimited data, but it only has 300 minutes a month, 10 minutes a day of phone calls. And the tech community loves that because they go, 10 minutes a day? I'm not going to be on the phone 10 minutes a day. This is a good deal, $30 a month, and I get unlimited data. Now that's a deal. Because we don't make phone calls. Maybe because no one will talk to us. 8888 asks Leo, you'll talk to me, won't you? Yeah, I'm a little different. I have a special phone system just for you. Bob is on the line from San Jose. Hey, Bob, Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
How you doing, Leo?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm good. I got a little bit of a dilemma. I travel long-haul flights over to Japan and back, so a lot of time on the airplane. And over Christmas, the kids gave me one of these cards from Microsoft Store, and I went and bought a couple of goofy games, Wheel of Fortune, etc. Just dumb stuff. So, I have a short attention span, so I can play these games. Well, I got them, and I can play them on my computer.
Yeah.
Attached to the internet.
Yeah.
But can I download them and put them on my computer and play them?
You should be able to. It depends on the game. So some games want a constant connection to the internet so that they can store your score, save your game, share with friends. You know, this all started with games like Candy Crush Saga, where they really wanted you to, share your results on Facebook and encourage your friends to join. That social aspect became very popular. So you're going to have to pick your games carefully to pick games that don't have to have online. Now, I have to say I'm sure you know this, most flights to Japan have internet.
Well, yeah, but I'm also very thrifty.
Yeah, and they're expensive.
Or I'm cheap.
Right.
Right.
Here's a tip. If you go to a Boingo or GoGo, whoever it is that is your typical in the flights you take, you can buy before you get on the plane for a lot less than once you get on the plane. Once they got you on the plane, you're a captive, and they really bring the price up. However,
I really want to run to the store when I'm on the plane.
I understand.
They won't open the door.
Yeah. So download your games. Here's the way to test. Turn off your internet before you get on the flight.
That's actually how I've been testing it. I, purchased the 3 games, and they work when I'm there. And then what I do is I unplug the cable from my laptop, turn off the Wi-Fi,
and see how it works.
Try it, and it's like you can only access it from the store menu type thing. The store.
Well,
you click it.
that's
so
the problem. So a lot of games now, they require internet access, and I think that's poor planning. But that's how they get you. So you're going to have to... But there are games that don't. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Oh, Rob says the T-Mobile plan is now... It's 100 minutes a month. Okay, either way, who cares? I wonder, I should look at my... bill. I will do that while Scott does his thing. I'm just curious how many minutes of internet I use. Oh, look at this. I just got my Loom Cube. I'll show everybody. This is...
Ooh, let's see the Loom Cube.
Oh, this is so cool. So this is kind of an off-camera light, LED light, that you can use for photography. Caution, this is not a toy. High-powered LED will produce heat. Use with care.
Wow. I actually could have used one of these at CES.
Yeah. That's my idea. So you can hold it. That's the light. You can hold it, and then the problem with flashes in general is they're on camera right above the lens, so it's horrible. Right. This way you can have like sunlight from the side, kind of a thing.
I was thinking about bringing an external camera-mounted light, but not mounted on the camera. Right. In other words, hold it off to the side, as you just suggested.
Right. Whoa! That is bright.
Wow.
Holy cow. Wow. That's cool,
amazing.
though. See? And then you can just hold it like that. Ow, it hurts. It also has...
That's up in the 10 or 20,000 nit range.
I mean, really, my eyes are... Wow. And I didn't even look straight into it. So there is an app, so you can... It has a camera. Oh, so... I guess you can use it as a flash, but I think you'd probably just use it as a continuous light.
I would just use it as a light. Just hold it out to the side. Yeah.
Yeah, it does have a flash mode. So if you want to blind people, if you really want to scare them. Ah!
I wonder if you could do a flash when it wasn't connected to the hot shoe. In other words, over on the side. Was it?
Yes. No. So it doesn't have a hot shoe. It's not for. It's for a camera phone. Although you could use it as anything. There's a Bluetooth connection.
Ah, Bluetooth.
Yeah.
Okay, so
but I would.
Camera would need the Bluetooth.
Yeah, I would say. Sorry, I don't mean to blind you. I would say, wow, it's bright. Ah, that was the flash mode. That's not so bad, see? Because it's intermittent.
I would just leave it on. I would hold it off to the side. I think your idea is very good there.
There's 4, 5,
4 brightness modes?
6,
oh my
7,
God.
8.
Your hand is totally
9,
blown out.
10. There's 10 settings. Holy moly.
Man.
How do I turn it off? Go off. Jeez. Okay, all yours.
Thank you. We've been talking in the chat room about cable companies charging surcharges for sports. Mick was the first one to bring it up about his cable company, which is one I hadn't heard of before, called Suddenlink, adding a sports programming surcharge per customer of $5.15 this month for every customer, because they have to spend more, I guess, on sports broadcasts, the Super Bowl in particular. But I'm going, well, wait a minute. I'm not going to watch the Super Bowl. Why do I have to pay that? Well, everybody has to pay that who is on Suddenlink. So I think that's pretty lousy, pretty funkalicious. Anyway, let's see what we got here. Oh, and Cablevision, Dr. Mom says Cablevision's been doing that for years. I'm on DirecTV, so I don't have cable, so I don't know. I don't think DirecTV does. Of course, I'm not 100% sure. Anyway, so yeah, anybody else got any questions for me? I'm happy to talk about anything in my field. Marsworm was asking about a software player to play DSD files, which is a type of high-res audio that's used on SACD discs, but now it's sort of more on downloadable files, high-res files from places like 2L. I don't know if HD Tracks offers DSD files. Anyway, I didn't really know, but somebody else, Twisted Mister, I think, came up with JRiver, which is great. That's a perfect solution to the problem. I'm not a computer audio guy myself particularly, but JRiver for Windows anyway is the software audio playback system to have. And I didn't know that it did a DSD, but if it does, then that is the obvious answer, no question about it. Mick says Suddenlink is big from Texas across the Midwest. Okay, well then there's a lot of people there and a lot of football fans too. So they're probably not real happy about that. Dr. Mom, what's more important to update, your TV or your AV receiver? Well, that depends on the capabilities of each. If your AV receiver doesn't have HDMI, for example, if it's that old, then that would be really important to update to HDMI. If your TV is a CRT, then I would say it's time to update the TV. It depends on the circumstances, really. Mick's going to be looking at DirecTV. I've been happy with DirecTV, although I must say I'm thinking seriously about moving over to Dish because the new Hopper 3, their new DVR, has 16 tuners. And I sometimes run up against the limitation of, and I've got a somewhat older DirecTV box that has only two tuners, so that if there are two things recording, I can't watch a third thing live. But I can watch something that's already been recorded. But with 16 tuners, I don't think I or many people would ever run into that problem. You could record a bunch of different shows all at once and still watch something else live. So that's pretty cool. Plus the fact that it's got 4K capability and Netflix streaming in 4K on it as well. Plus you can beam out to thin clients called Joeys in different rooms of your house, up to 6 of them. So it looks like a really nice system. I should probably get one into review anyway, and I may very well just sort of, say, okay, start billing me. Low Tech dropped cable in June of last year, went OTA, over the air. Congratulations. Good for you. Webb is asking, does Panasonic have any good 4K on the market or coming out? At the moment, not really. Well, I guess it's the CX. I can't remember the model number now, but it's on AVS Forum, certainly. We have a review of the latest. I think it's a CX800 or CX850. Pretty good. It actually is quite good. And so that would be the one I would recommend, the flagship anyway of what they've got. Next year, they've got the DX900, which looks like it's probably going to be really good. It's Ultra HD Premium certified, so that's really good. And they have an OLED, which they introduced in Europe and are selling in the European market, and I think Japanese as well, but not in the U.S., at least not yet, and they wouldn't commit to when they might do that.
Big story out of the FCC. They've decided to look at opening up the market for set-top boxes, which is infuriating the cable industry.
What does that mean, open up the market? I mean, let people just sell set-top boxes?
Yeah, so that you could use a set. The FCC is considering a plan which would let you buy a set-top box from, say, Roku or anybody instead of the monopoly that the cable company has.
Interesting.
Yeah, so
yeah, that's
furious.
really pissed.
Yeah, yeah. All right, Scott, thank you.
All right.
Have a great
My
week.
pleasure.
All
You
right.
too.
Take
See you
care.
next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the tech guy. Time to talk computers and the internet and home theater and digital photography and smartphones and smartwatches and cable TV and all that jazz. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the number, 888-827-5536. We have a website, too. I should mention this more often because it's free. There's no sign-up or anything. It's not a paid site, and I want you to use it. It's called techguylabs.com, techguylabs.com, and what we do is we put up, each show is there. We divide the site is divided up by day, by show, by hour, and then by question. And you can go there, you can watch the audio, the video after the fact if you missed the show. But you can also look at each question and you can see my answer and then add your own thoughts, which I really appreciate if you do that. Even if you go in there and say, Leo got it all wrong, that's fine. We're in the quest for truth together. So if I make a mistake, this is your chance. Besides shouting at the radio, which I know many of you do, you can go to the website, shout at me there, and vote up and down responses too. So the idea is over time this becomes a valuable resource for anybody looking for the kinds of answers that we have here on the show. So Tech Guy, just everything's there. Links I mentioned, stories I tell you, all that stuff. TechGuyLabs.com. We have a pick of the week there. We have a tip of the week. Thanks to James DeRuvo, who's listening right now. He's writing things down as I speak, so we get it up there as quickly as possible. And then Josh Windish from my office, who edits the shows and puts more information up there, and of course puts the audio and the video up. They do a great job. TechGuyLabs.com. Big news out of the FCC. You know, I have to say, I apologize, Tom Wheeler. Tom Wheeler, who is will be soon the outgoing chairman of the FCC, of course, with a new president in November. And then I guess he or she will take office a year from now. We'll get a new chairman of the FCC. Tom Wheeler, for a long time, was excoriated. I was among the people who was lambasting him because he was a former cable and cell phone lobbyist. He was in the Hall of Fame, in fact, for the National Cable Television Association. And it's kind of a revolving door. The chairman of the current head of the National Cable Television Association is the former FCC chairman, Michael Powell. So it's not unusual. And for a long time, I expected Tom Wheeler to represent the interests of the cable and the wireless industries he's supposed to regulate. Well, as time has gone by, Mr. Wheeler's turned out to be a pretty darn good chairman and has advocated a lot of things to the benefit of consumers. Net neutrality, of course, last year. And he's poked a beehive this time. The hornet's nest is all upset. The FCC is proposing something they say will unlock the set-top box. Now, if you have a cable TV, you know you have a set-top box. It plugs into the cable and decodes it so your television can see it. Many of us also have DVRs in there, video recorders as well. And that's really for most of us, that's the interface to the cable company. That's what we see. That's what lets us not only choose channels, but find out what's on, so forth. Many of us also own set-top like boxes from other companies. I have a TiVo. I love my TiVo. I have Roku. We've talked about that. $99 set-top box. It gives you Netflix and other things, as well as, if the cable companies would allow it, cable television. Amazon makes one, the Fire TV. Google makes one, Android TV. Apple makes an Apple TV. Lots of companies make these. But they've always been second-class citizens, kind of an adjunct to your set-top box. You still had to have the set-top box. The FCC is proposing that companies like Apple and Google be allowed to make set-top boxes that you use entirely for your interface to the cable company. Oh, wow. Is that making the cable companies angry? The FCC says you can still use your cable box if you want, but, we feel that the rents these companies charge are exorbitant. Remember, in many cases, you can buy your own cable modem. You don't have to rent it from the company. You don't have to buy a phone from the phone company anymore, do you? Remember how Ma Bell hated the idea of you not renting Western Electric phones? Thanks to the very famous Carter decision, you could suddenly, and this changed everything about 30 years ago, maybe 40 now, You could suddenly buy your own phones. Look at the variety, the choice we have of phone equipment. Well, we would like to have the same thing on our cable set-top box, right? Wouldn't that be awesome? According to the FCC, 99% of customers rent set-top boxes. I'm able to use my TiVo as a set-top box because the FCC did require cable companies offer something called a cable card that you can put in a third-party set-top box like a TiVo, and it turns it into your set-top box. I like it. I prefer it. It's really good. But according to the FCC, cable customers pay an average of $231 a year in rental fees. That's $19.5 billion a year. No wonder the cable companies don't like this idea. That's a lot of money. The cable companies say, hey, this is our product. You're basically removing us from the equation. Comcast wrote, this proposal, like prior federal government technology mandates, would impose costs on consumers, adversely impact the creation of high-quality content, and chill innovation. Huh? Yeah, I think it's the opposite, Comcast. It flies in the face of rapid changes that are occurring in the marketplace and benefiting consumers. And we make $19.5 billion on this stuff. What are you, crazy? Well, if it comes to a vote or if it comes to a public, request for public input, I would encourage you to go to the FCC site. This is how we got net neutrality. Overwhelmingly, millions of people went to the FCC site and said, we want net neutrality. Now, here's a chance for us to have a choice to use our Apple TV or our Roku or our Amazon Fire TV as our set-top box. It's as the Future of TV Coalition says, it's a terrible idea. The Future of TV Coalition, by the way, they want you to sign the petition to tell the FCC stop it. It's run by Aris, AT&T, Cablevision, Cisco, Comcast, Cox, Dish, Time Warner Cable, U.S. Telecom. Oh, it's a terrible idea. Props to Congressperson Anna Eshoo from California, who says set-top boxes are a clunky piece of equipment that pay TV customers are cornered into renting for hundreds of dollars a year in order to view their programming. And the average cost to rent the set-top box has risen a staggering 185% over the last 20 years. She compares it to when Ma Bell said customers had to rent phones from Ma Bell. When the FCC lifted that prohibition, customers not only saved money, but innovation thrived in the telephone market. It's time to eliminate this $20 billion boondoggle and leapfrog into the second decade of the 21st century. Right on. You have my support. And let the FCC know that, because they're hearing from the cable companies. They're hearing from them. Guys come and say, hey, I have this bag of cash. And I'd like to keep making the money. So let them know. This is. You may think sometimes we feel like we don't have a voice in this because of big money, but we do have a voice if we all speak and let our voice be heard. So, wouldn't it be nice? Wouldn't it be nice to be just like the phone? You can get any phone you want. Just put it right on the network, plug it in. Now, admittedly, it wasn't good for the phone companies. They're pretty much dead now, but. Couldn't have happened to a nicer bunch of people. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the phone number. I'd love to hear from you. Even if you disagree, this is a good chance. And as I mentioned, techguylab.com. Tech Guy Labs. It's plural. Tech Guy Labs. We got more than one of them. .com is the place to go for airing your viewpoint or just finding out what we said or getting those links. I'll put a link to this article from Ars Technica describing this. More of your calls to come. 8888 Ask Leo. I am Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. Our show today brought to you by ZipRecruiter. Oh, doggy! If you're a kind of person who has to hire for your business, that could be you're the HR person, or it could be you're the chief cook and bottle washer, like me. You ought to know about ZipRecruiter. Boy, we've had great results hiring people through ZipRecruiter.com. Why? Well, I'll tell you. It's kind of the modern way to hire because when you post to ZipRecruiter, you post to 100-plus job boards with one click of the mouse. That means, as you know, your job listing, you want as many people as possible to see it, right? Because somewhere out there is the perfect person. That person you hire can make or break your business. You want to get the perfect person. That means you want to be everywhere they might be. That means the more places you post, the better. But you might say, but Leo, I don't want my inbox full of hundreds of thousands of applications. I don't want to get all those phone calls. Don't worry, you won't, because all the candidates roll into ZipRecruiter's interface, where it's very easy to screen them, eliminate the candidates that just don't match your needs, rank them, and hire the right person fast. It couldn't be easier. And because they have nearly 6 million resumes, current resumes on file, you'll start getting candidates immediately. ZipRecruiter.com. We've got a free 4-day trial for you. That may be enough to get that person. It's pretty quick. Over 400,000 businesses have used ZipRecruiter. You can try it right now for free. Scott, who heard about ZipRecruiter on the show, sent us a note saying the recruiting process used to be so painful. Before I'd post to several places, I'd get 1 million resumes, but only a few responses from qualified candidates. It was torture. With ZipRecruiter, we post once, we get qualified candidates in one easy-to-review place. And this is the important part. We've hired some of our best employees using ZipRecruiter. That's the key. Hiring's the most important thing you do. It makes or breaks the company. I know. Use ZipRecruiter to get the best people, the right candidates, fast. ZipRecruiter.com/techguy. Try it free right now. Leo Laporte and the Late Night Nonstop All-Night Truck Driving Show. I always wanted to do that. Actually, I've done it. It's no fun. I did it in San Francisco, and I think it was the biggest station in San Francisco at the time. You know which station I'm talking about. I'm Heather Hammond. And it was like pulling teeth to get calls. So that means you end up talking. It's 3 a.m, and you're just talking. Now, some of you listen to this show and say, well, Leo, what's wrong? You have no problem doing that, do you? No, you're right. You're right. I just didn't like begging for calls. We don't have to beg for calls here. Lots of people with computer problems. 8888 Ask Leo, or technology problems. Let's go to Tom in Charlotte, North Carolina. He's our next caller. Hi, Tom.
Hey, Leo, how's it going?
Oh, it's going great. How you doing?
Good. Let's see if you can help me spend my money wisely.
Okay.
So I have a 09 MacBook Pro and an iPad 2 that I need to replace.
All right.
I'm not entirely sure that I need both this time around. Where do I go from here?
Well, first thing I'd say is wait, because we're expecting updates on both iPads and MacBooks soon.
Oh.
Yeah. So here's the deal. On the laptops, Intel has a newer chip called Skylake. It's been out for a couple of months, although Microsoft, which made some Skylake devices, the Surface Pro 4 and the Surface Book, has had a devil of a time with it. But I think Apple wisely waited a little bit. But they're due. Because those new chips are here, they're due. I'm also looking to see a refreshed MacBook, which might be the answer to your conundrum. The MacBook is their 12-inch, very thin, very light laptop that has the portability of an iPad, but a full keyboard and a full functionality and a beautiful Retina screen to go with it of a MacBook. So that's what I personally use all the time. There have been some negatives about the MacBook. The keyboard I'm not crazy about, and a lot of people complain that it only has one port, a Type-C connector, for power and data and USB and everything else. And some people don't like that. I suspect Apple will respond to that, maybe merely by adding a second Type-C port, but that would be fine.
When is this supposed to be announced?
Well, Apple doesn't say. But the rumor is strong that March will be an Apple event in which they will announce possibly also a new iPad. We maybe see an iPad Air 4. And I'd hate for you to buy it.
I was even looking at an iPad Pro to take care of both, because
that's an interesting so Apple's pushing the iPad Pro.
What's fueling this for me is I've already got an HP printer that I can print from my phone and my iPhone and my iPad,
right.
and my and see, as you can probably tell, I'm a blind guy. So
oh, okay.
I'm an Apple
Okay.
fan.
So accessibility, see, that adds a little bit to that equation because accessibility is important to you. And iOS,
Exactly
I
right.
think your experience has been, but you correct me, is that iOS is very good with accessibility.
You're exactly right. And that brings me to another question, if you have time.
Well, let me just talk about the iPad Pro.
Okay.
You have some unique needs. In general, I disagree with Apple's positioning of the iPad Pro as a laptop replacement. I think that is self-serving. The iPad Pro, the one you're going to want, is plus keyboard is going to be close to $1,200. In other words, priced the same as a MacBook, as a laptop. The keyboard you get from Apple is, usable. I wouldn't say great, but it certainly makes it pretty portable. I don't think this is, frankly, Apple has made a false distinction, I think, in my eyes. The MacBook, which is this roughly the same size and price as a iPad Pro plus keyboard, doesn't have touch. It's using OS X. The iPad Pro has touch and is using iOS. And so I guess you could reasonably say, well, what's more important to you? If touch is more important to you, I wish they put touch on the MacBook. But now I know why they're not, because if they did, then it'd be a no-brainer. You'd get the MacBook, right? They say their point of view is, well, we decided to make the iPad be the iOS operating system be for touch, and we don't think we can make a desktop operating system that's touch capable. And of course, Microsoft famously had problems with Windows 8 because they did try to combine the two. I don't think you can. I think the iPad Pro is a great purchase for somebody who knows what they're going to do with it. If they're an artist, you get the pencil and you're using it for drawing, superb. If you're a musician and the new GarageBand is on here, superb. If you're a writer, not so hot, because even though it does have a kind of a split screen functionality, it isn't really a multi-purpose, multitasking system like a desktop, like a MacBook would be. So for people who want to do real productivity stuff, unless it's something that's going to take advantage of this giant touch screen, a disc jockey would love this. In other words, unless you have some specific needs that this answers, I think a MacBook is a better choice. Now, you may, because accessibility is something that you care about, and if you prefer iOS for accessibility, I think you'd be very happy with an iPad. You use a computer differently from how I do. So that's up to you. But if you want iOS and iPad Pro, and then I would get and I've revised my opinion on this. Originally, I recommended the Logitech Create keyboard, which is $20 less, but it's pretty hunk and big. It's pretty clunky. It's a better keyboard. It's kind of like the MacBook keyboard. The keyboard that Apple sells is $20 more and not as functional, but it's lighter and more portable. So I've actually taken to using the Apple keyboard instead of the Logitech Create. You're going to want to get a pencil? Well, I don't know if you draw or not. If you do, then it would be great.
I don't, so the pencil is pretty much...
Yeah. The iPad is designed for the pencil. You might get more out of a smaller, more portable iPad that has the Force Touch, the 3D Touch thing. I really like and this will not be updated, almost certainly, the iPad Mini 4. That just came out in September, so I don't think that'll be updated. But they didn't update the iPad Air, so we do think there'll be an update to the iPad Air. The iPad Pro will not be updated in March, so you could safely buy a Pro now. And as I said, I expect all the Macintosh laptops to be updated in the next couple of months.
Okay, do you have time for one more question?
Sure.
Okay, at work, I'm using ZoomText 10.1 on Windows 7. And every couple of hours, ZoomText shuts down and my whole computer freezes up, so I have to shut it down.
Oh, how frustrating is that?
Do you know of anyone else that is using ZoomText that's experiencing this?
You need to do a Google search on people. It could be, sounds like the kind of bug that is not unusual called a memory leak. A memory leak means that the program eats memory and doesn't release it. And that's the kind of thing that over time crashes the program. On the other hand, because it's crashing the whole computer, it's likely the program has some specialized drivers. And it could be poorly written drivers. I would check with ZoomText. You paid a lot for that. And say, hey, I'm getting this crashing. Is there a known fix? Is it common? Or is it merely something I need to reinstall the drivers for? It may just be maybe you, in other words. But I don't know unless you go out there and check the internets or call them. Best thing, I would call them and spend a lot of money for them. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. He's been everywhere, man. He's been everywhere. That's because he's Johnny Jet, traveler extraordinaire. He's back home in the beautiful Manhattan Beach. But that's, I'm sure, just a brief hiatus in his travels around the world. JohnnyJet.com. Hey, Johnny.
How you doing, Leo?
I'm great. You going to come up here for the Super Bowl?
You know, I would if the New York Giants were in it, but they're not, so I won't be.
Is that your team, huh?
That is my team. I grew up in Southern Connecticut, so we grew up with New
Not
York
the
TV.
Patriots, huh?
I hate the Patriots, and I'm from New England.
Isn't that interesting? Yeah,
Southern New England.
Yeah, I think if I were still a local fan, I'd be a Patriots fan. But of course, having been in the Bay Area for more than 20 years, I have to be a 49ers fan. And when I say have to be, I mean under duress this year. But it's okay. It's okay.
Well, I have a website that might be good for some of the fans coming out to San Francisco, because I know the whole city is going to be inundated soon.
Crazy.
And I was actually speaking this week at the local senior center here in Manhattan Beach. My dad's there, and so I told him I'd volunteer my time and speak and tell him all about travel tips. And one of the guys was a big fan of your show, and I hope he's listening, because I spaced on his question. He asked me if I had a recommendation for a website where I could find a local tour guide. And I couldn't think of one.
I have one. After
Tours
you.
by Local.
Yep. Love it.
All right, good. So
we've used them.
I've never used them, but I've heard great things about them. They have over 10,000 tours in 136 countries, 1,600 guides, and I've heard really good things about them. So, I mean, you talk about it since you used them.
They pair you up with somebody in where you're going. We used one in Venice, Venice, Italy. We looked at all the offerings, and they have different skills. Sometimes they'll invite you into in their home and make you a dinner. I mean, it's just various things. But we found a woman who was a photographer. She was a wedding photographer in Venice, and she proposed taking you around to the best secret places for pictures in Venice and giving you some instruction along the way. We thought that would be great. It was so satisfying. We're gonna have some time in Copenhagen. We're on a cruise. We looked at the excursions the cruise offered. Nothing really excited us. We're going to do the same thing in Copenhagen. We haven't chosen yet. Yeah, so it's great. It's kind of expensive. I mean, you're getting somebody's day or half day,
but you're paying by the tour.
Right.
It's a private tour, so it doesn't matter how many people are in your group.
It was just us and the woman, and she was so good. I felt like it was exactly what it says. Like a local came and said, "Well, let me show you my Venice." Oh my gosh, that was awesome.
See, that's the best. And also, I hear you pay through the website.
That's right.
And they pay the guide.
Yeah, and kind of that smooths the transaction, because you don't know who these people are. It's,
for sure.
It's a little, I guess, could be considered risky if you just kind of went on the internet, Craigslist, and said, "Hey, who wants to?"
But you can communicate with the guide beforehand, and they're all rated, so you can see what other people rated the people.
Yes, exactly.
So did you go back in and rate the
We
tour?
did when we gave her a rave review. We were very happy. So yes, I would agree. Toursbylocals.com.
Okay, good. Well, I hope he's listening, because I felt bad. I just had a brain freeze.
Yeah. All right.
Well, I got an app for you too.
Okay, Johnny.
So I always tell people to sign up to every person's brand loyalty program. From the local grocery store to the airline you're flying. Even if you're only doing it once, you can, save a lot of money. But the problem is, you have so many cards and numbers. And I walk around like Fletch used to with that wallet, and you just drop it, and, I have 100 different cards in there. So now I use an app called Stocard, STOCARD. And it's free on Android and iOS, and they have over 400 different companies. In there, all you got to do is scan your card. And so now when I go to, CVS or a hotel, I don't have to look for my card. I just bring up the app, and they can scan the barcode on the app. So it's real handy. I mean, even, I go to Florida once in a while, or Connecticut. I'm in a local pharmacy or a grocery store, and I sign up for the rewards program, because a lot of times it's a lot cheaper for whatever you're buying, and you can't remember to bring all that stuff with you, and you scan it, and they'll and you save money. And and by the way, and if you don't want to sign up, a lot of these times, the cashier will let you slide and they'll scan their own card. But
I know that always cracks me up.
This was handy to get your rewards points. Actually, last night I got these flowers for Natalie. We were at the grocery store, and she was like, "I don't understand. It said they were for $5, but then you go to pay for it, and it was $10." And I was like, "Well, then the small print's at $10."
That really drives me crazy.
If you're a member of Vons, it's $5.
Yeah.
But in Canada, they don't do that.
They do that in a lot of stores here. They show the price that it's the member's price, and it's really. I know I don't like that. It's funny because I'm not a big privacy advocate. I use Google and Facebook and stuff, but I refuse to use those loyalty cards. I don't know why.
Do you?
Yeah, I feel like you got to give me more than that if you're going to collect information on what I buy. It's silly.
But you're paying double the price on a lot of this stuff.
No kidding. Now I feel like I'm strong-armed. Now I don't do it on principle.
So you're paying the double price.
Yeah, I'm the guy paying $10 for those flowers.
Well,
because I feel like that's the real cost. Your $5 deal is a deal with the devil.
So sign up with a fake name. They don't know.
I should.
Put your fake info.
But then I feel like that's wrong.
What's wrong is you're paying double.
I know that's really wrong. I know. I should probably do that. Lisa, my wife, is a member of all of them, and so I ride on her coattails, pretty much all the time, actually. Hey, Johnny, always a pleasure. Johnny Jet is at johnnyjet.com. You should follow him on Twitter. He has some good Twitter lists. I don't know if people really know about Twitter lists. Twitter made a big deal about that. It's still there, but nobody, you can, if you look at Johnny Jet, twitter.com/JohnnyJet, you can see his list, and there's lists of, airlines. You should follow that. There's lists of all sorts of stuff, travel
cruises,
deals,
hotels, flight attendants.
If you're into travel, use Twitter because it's like all this information, and you don't even have to subscribe to those people. You could just click the link and see what's in that list. So it's really handy. Johnny
That's
Jet.
funny. That was one of my tips when I was speaking at this at these shows, and I've not many people are using Twitter out there.
I know.
And I tell them, a lot of the airlines are doing Twitter only deals. For example, JetBlue Cheaps, CHEEPS, and they have Twitter only deals. Every Tuesday they'll put it out, and if you're not following them, you're missing out. But you don't need to put your information out there. So that's a big misconception.
Right.
And so that's one of my tips is always to, follow these brands on Twitter and Facebook, although you might not like to. But then again, you're going to miss out on the savings.
You know what? I don't know where they've buried the lists. I don't see them anymore. Golly, Twitter. I swear. I'm sure it's in here somewhere. Where are Johnny's lists?
And I have a webpage which I have to look for, which has all my lists spelled out, and also people to follow on Twitter. I'll go look for it, and I can tweet it out.
Put it on johnnyjet.com too. I mean, that would be.
It's on there.
Okay, all right. And he also has that great free travel newsletter. You've got your feed alone is so full of great stuff. And what I love about it is you're very generous. You give pass attention to other travel writers, and so it's a great resource. He's not one of those guys who says, no, I want to keep you all to myself.
No,
I like that.
Travel's the best thing in the world, and I just want people to see the world.
I'm with you. Where are you going next? Can you tell us?
That's a secret.
Ah,
Although I was just pricing out tickets to go to Australia. American Airlines had tickets for under $1,000 from LA. I put it on hold for 24 hours, and we couldn't decide if we're going to go.
You're not booked up. You're not like you can actually just drop things and go somewhere. You're not like booked all the time.
Well, it was only a 4-day trip, so I can find 4 days here and there. But the prices now are $1,600.
Oh man, you should have jumped. That's why you got to follow him, johnnyjet.com, and get that travel newsletter. And we'll see you next week, Johnny, in somewhere else, right? You won't be home, or will you?
We'll see.
You might not be home. We don't know. Thank you, Johnny. 8888 Ask Leo. That's my phone number. I'll take more of your calls as we continue to talk high tech. I am Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Yeah. Yeah, you remind me, I got to get that Copenhagen Tours by Locals. It's kind of nice when you're on a cruise to take 1 or 2 days and just use Tours by Locals because it's a very different experience than the group.
Without a doubt. The one thing about doing a tour, which I should have mentioned on the radio, is that if you don't do it through the ship, and for some reason the
ship's
car
late or
breaks
whatever.
down,
Yep.
they do not wait for you.
Nope.
And you have to pay for your way to get to meet the ship in the next destination. But if you're on one of the ship's tours, they will wait for it. But you save a lot of money, and usually, the tours are better.
One way or another, I hope you call me at 8888. Ask Leo. That's the phone number. Craig is on the line from Santa Clarita, California. Hi, Craig.
Hello.
Hello.
One way or another, hopefully you can answer my question.
I bet you I can one way or the other. It may not be me, but between the chat room and our million-strong audience, I bet we could find an answer to almost anything.
I hope so. Good to talk to you again. It's been a year, but always happy to talk to you. I'm an artist and mainly a film designer.
I remember you. Yeah.
DreamWorks and Disney and so forth.
Yeah.
And I also do my own fine art on the side.
I remember you very well. Give me the website again, because it was so great.
CraigElliottGallery.com, 2 L's, 2 T's. There is a little bit of nudity, but if you can handle a museum without your head exploding, I think you'll be fine.
Just be aware of that, folks. Yeah. I look at this, and are you using regular, paints and canvases? I mean, imagine nowadays the iPad Pro would be very attractive for your painting.
I do regular paints and canvases and Photoshop. iPad Pro is not quite pro enough for designing movies and doing illustrations and so forth. I think it's decent. A few of my friends have them, but it's really, they just see them as more sketch pads than actually can I create a real painting or do an illustration for Blizzard or something. That's not quite within the.
Do they still use real media, or are they using Cintiqs and Photoshop and things like that?
Oh, a place like Blizzard?
No, just anybody. The people in your business.
Oh, it varies.
Digital?
I've got friends who will only do traditional. A friend of mine I worked with, Alice, on the last D&D Monster Manual. She did 2 illustrations traditional, and then I did mine completely digital.
Interesting.
They're, pretty much it's like, does it look good? That's really what they care about. They don't really care how you do it.
It used to be you could look at something like Frazzetti and say, oh, I can tell he's using oils. And now I don't know if you can. I really don't know if you can. I think that's probably indistinguishable, at least at the reproductions that we see on the web and so forth.
Yeah. People tell me that a lot of my stuff, they can't tell. They're like, that's digital? No way.
Yeah. I remember,
I'm also. Okay.
Our friend Dick DeBartolo, our Gizwiz, who's going to join us in about an hour, works at Mad Magazine. Now he took me on a tour there, and they had the originals of many covers. They're done in oil or acrylics. I mean, they're big, and they're big canvases. And to see them, it's almost awe-inspiring. Even though it's Alfred E. Newman, it's still pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Anyway, what can I do for you? I appreciate your call. Thank you.
Yeah, so I've been doing tutorial videos. I also teach at like NOMA and Art Center and so forth, and I've been trying to do my own tutorial videos and sell them on a place called Gumroad.com. And I've been doing pretty well. I made another one and released it this week, and it's doing really well. And all of those I've been doing, if you seen like my last blog post there is the last one I did. Those I've been doing in Photoshop, and that's easy. I can record the screen, and then I do voiceover afterwards in iMovie. But I've never quite been able to get the gear together to do, something of one of my real paintings or drawings, an oil painting like you're saying.
You'd have to shoot like
of movies and stuff.
You'd have to shoot like a time lapse of that over your shoulder or something.
Or shoot it real time. What I do is like when I'm doing the screen off the computer, I do it real time, and then I just speed it up.
Yeah.
Yeah. But what a kind of camera. I don't want to use my iPhone. That doesn't seem good enough. I have a Canon S90, I think it is. Yeah,
it's pretty good.
It's getting kind of old, but I don't know if that's good enough. I don't think it does 1080.
Right.
So I don't want to spend like $10,000.
No, and you don't need to. And it's funny. Somebody was asking me for camcorder advice the other day, and I said, camcorder? Nobody buys it. Nobody buys a camcorder anymore, and the reason they don't is because any digital still camera will do at least as well, if not better, than a camcorder. So it really depends on how much money you want to spend. I think you could get a Micro Four Thirds camera. The point and shoot like your S90, that's probably fine, but if you want interchangeable lenses, which will help you a lot in the production, probably one of the things you notice is positioning and you zoom and stuff. Having better lenses will help quite a bit, and of course they can do 1080p. In fact, most of them now can do 4K. Not that you need 4K, but if you're going to buy it, you might as well plan, because 4K is coming. It'll be just a few years before that will be what people will want. In fact, if
that'll be a good educational tool, because
shoot them in 4K. Shoot them in 4K now. You can downsample, offer them as 1080p, but have the higher quality for that day. Even YouTube now is doing 4K. I'll tell you, if I had to pick right now, and I weren't too worried about budget, I would get a Panasonic GX8, which is a Micro Four Thirds still camera with excellent 4K video shooting. And Micro Four Thirds is a sensor size that's smaller than the full frame sensors like the Canons and the Nikons, but good enough for what you want to do, and has a huge number of lens choices because it's the only camera style that doesn't have a proprietary mount. So Micro Four Thirds, you can get lenses from every company under the sun, and that means you have a lot of choices. Plus, because it's Micro Four Thirds, it's mirrorless, which means it's smaller. The GX8 now I've said all that, it's $2,000. So it might be more than you want to spend, but there are other good choices in the Micro Four Thirds range, like the Olympus OMD and others, that will give you much of the benefit of that. The GX8 is expensive because it just came out. But people,
you said the OMD, that's an Olympus?
Yeah.
Would that work with like old OM1 lenses?
I wish it would. There are adapters, though. If you have a lot of OM1 lenses, that was the classic Olympus film camera. I've used OM1 lenses on my OMD. There's a relatively inexpensive adapter you can buy. But those you'll have to manually focus. They don't communicate with the camera, obviously. They were for film.
That might be better because, if I'm trying to film a painting, I'm moving my arm around, and I noticed that in the tests I've done, it tries to focus on my arm and not the painting, and so it throws what I'm doing out of focus.
I would look at any of the Olympus Micro Four Thirds. Sometimes they abbreviate that as MFT cameras. The EM5 Mark II is under $1,000. I mean, you could save, and there. But now remember, you have to get a lens. But if you got the adapter, you could use all your OM1 lenses. What you'll find, however, what I found is, as much as I loved my OM1 50mm f1.4, it didn't look as good compared to the digital lenses.
Right. The lens actually it makes it look a lot better when you've got the one that's supposed to go with the camera.
Well, I think the optics, they're using computer grinding and stuff. I think they're actually, this is sacrilege, but I think they're actually making better lenses than they did in those days. You'd think glass is glass, but there's some really excellent. Now, if you can use a still camera, then this can do double duty, and I bet you can. The S90 was a great camera, and they've updated that. They're at S110 or 120.
It's true. Yeah.
But
I wanted to get something for France.
I think interchangeable lenses would be a really nice idea for you.
Okay.
Because then you can get a wide angle. You can get one with a that's really good in low light that will give you great depth of field. It gives it a cinematic look. People don't know why they like it, but they go, "Wow, that really looks good."
Yeah, I do want something that has more of a cinematic.
Yeah, you don't want it to look like a camera.
Moody feel.
Yeah, you want it moody. Well, there you go.
Right, I don't want it to feel like a hospital room. I want something,
Yeah, there you go. And because they can use lower light, you don't have to light a lot. That saves you money on lighting. They can do it in natural light often, and it's just fine. So, yeah, that's what I would recommend. Look at Micro Four Thirds or MFT. That's big enough for high-quality video, for 4K video even. And the variety of lenses and the inexpensive lightweight bodies really means you have some real flexibility. I think for video shooting, even now, people are moving away from camcorders and video cameras even in professional settings, and they're using different devices. Blackmagic is making some very interesting cameras that are relatively inexpensive and give amazing results. Some good. In fact, they make a camera body that uses micro four thirds lenses, which is kind of a good idea. 8888 Ask Leo. We're going to take a break for news at the top of the hour. We will have more of your calls, another hour to come, including, as I mentioned, the Giz Wiz, Dick DeBartolo coming up. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Our show today brought to you by Credit Karma. You know, there's a number that is super important to you in our life. It's not your weight. It's not your blood pressure. It's your credit score, and it determines so much of what your financial life is, what you can borrow, what you pay for interest. This number is a number a lot of people don't know about. But who can blame them? I mean, a lot of the websites that offer, quote, free credit reports are not free. I learned that. And they come with hidden fees. They're confusing. Credit Karma does things differently. They offer truly free credit reports. There are no strings attached. You do not give them a credit card, so they can't charge you. You might wonder, how do they make money? Well, they show you very tasteful, judiciously ads and offers based on what they know about you. And it's not offensive. It's not annoying. In fact, often it's very easy to get better credit card rates, things like that. And they don't just show you a score and send you away. I should show you mine. I wonder if it would reveal anything. Like, I don't think it would. I'll try. Let me log into mine and see. But you get a score. They break it down. They show you how your score has been changed by things that you've done, like applied for credit cards, having too many credit cards, of course, slow pays and things. They even have free mobile apps for iOS and Android. So you can look online. Let me just see. Yeah, no, this is. I don't mind showing you this. This is my credit card. I've been using this for years. I love it. In fact, I'm not alone. 45 million members turn to Credit Karma to check their credit score, and I've never paid a thing. Right now, you can get your free report, a number that counts, by visiting creditkarma.com right now. And we thank Credit Karma for their support. Creditkarma.com. See, and I can look, well, why is this number lower than this number? And I can check out my credit factors and why the numbers are different and so forth. And see, they'll give you a credit card offer. That's how they pay for it. But it's very minor. It's really great. Really great. Creditkarma.com. Try it for free right now. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the tech guy. Time to talk computers and the internet and home theater, digital photography, gadgets and gizmos, smartphones, smartwatches. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the phone number. I just got a very interesting gizmo. Lighting has changed a lot. Television lighting, film lighting, photography lighting, even the lights in your house, right? For a while, all the rage, replace your incandescents with fluorescent bulbs, right? Well, that was a brief fling. Once LEDs came out that could be, the big breakthrough was white. We could make red and blue LEDs like crazy. They couldn't figure out how to make light-emitting diodes a nice white. And that meant they really weren't good for home lighting, were they? You couldn't have a blue light bulb. What good is that going to be? Well, a few years ago when they made that breakthrough, I remember the first LED light bulb I saw was from C. Crane. And Bob Crane, the owner and chief technologist there, he said, Leo, someday, this is the future. Someday, LED light bulbs will be everywhere. I said, oh, that's cool. He said, they last a lifetime. They don't ever burn out. They're amazing. I said, Bob, that's great. How much? He said, $99. I said, what? I don't think so. But now they've come down. If you go to the store, it was the same thing with complex fluorescents, wasn't it? At first, they were very expensive. But now you can get an LED, a nice LED light bulb for, $10 at the store? And I'm at an age now where I'm telling my wife, I'm never going to change that bulb. That bulb's going to be on that front porch light till the day I die. Even if I live to 100, that thing's going to still be burning bright. So it's really changed. And of course, in our television studios now, we use LEDs. For a long time, remember movie lights, the incandescent, big, bright incandescent lights and the Klieg lights and the arc lights, they were hot. Man, they were bright. They were difficult to work with. They blew out. And they used a ton of energy. Well, I haven't worked in a studio in a long time that didn't at least use fluorescence. We use both fluorescence and LEDs, and we use a lot of LEDs. It's really the future. So I just got this product. It's about $70. This is kind of crazy. This is an LED flash, and it's really kind of for smartphone users. One of the problems with if you've used your point and shoot and you've used the flash on it, or the camera phone and use the flash on it, is people look like they're in the witness protection program or something. The light's so bright and so flat, it sucks the life out of a picture. You feel like a paparazzi, frozen in motion. And that's because, I'm told by photographers, the light is so close to the lens. But it has to be that way. That's how we build our cameras. But the closer the light is to the lens, the more red eye effects you're going to have. And the flatter the light's going to be, and the worse it's going to look. It flattens everything out. So the ideal, as photographers have known for years, is to get the light, the flash or the light off the camera, and best of all, to kind of get it off to the side. Well, that's what this is about. It's called the Lume Cube, L-U-M-E-C-U-B-E. It's incredibly bright. And because it's LEDs, it's incredibly efficient. Oh, sorry. Didn't mean... You got to be careful. It's so bright, you don't want to shine at anybody's eyes. And this isn't even the brightest. It goes brighter than that. But what a great way to improve your even camera phone photography. With a little cube you can carry in your pocket, in your briefcase. It's only about an inch square. And the light is so bright, so intense, that you could use this for off-camera lighting. Just hold it. It's very light. Just hold it and take a picture with your smartphone. And all of a sudden, all your pictures will look 10 times better. I'm very excited. Just came in the mail today. I bought it. A friend who's a photographer told me about it, and I immediately bought it. Nice solid metal casing. It has to be, because one of the problems with LEDs is they do generate heat. And you'll notice even your LED light bulbs, they have big heat sinks on the light bulbs. They have to dissipate that heat somewhat. Same thing here. This is a metal cube that dissipates heat. This is, and it charges via USB, and it even has a little tripod stand, so I guess you could mount it. And the color is daylight, I think. But they can now make, by the way, this is daylight, but you can make LEDs any color at all now. So as June Klops in the chat room says, now taking selfies will look even stupider, Leo. That's right. I'll have, in one hand, I'll have my phone. In the other hand, I'll have my Lume Cube. And people will look at me and say, well, where's your hands? What? But the image is going to be so much better. And no more flash pictures. Anyway, the Lume Cube, I just thought I'd mention it, L-U-M-E-C-U-B-E. Every once in a while I come across a kind of unusual product that I think you might want to take a look at. Let's go to G. Scott, my old buddy in Tahoe. Hello, G. Scott.
Hey, Leo, how you doing?
I'm well. How are you?
Oh, I'm pretty good. So I'm looking at the cord cutting options. My wife was listening to Jason Howell and Megan talking the other day, and Megan says, well, why don't you cut the cord, Jason? So now I'm getting the same deal.
They're the hosts of our daily newscast, Tech News Today, at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern on twit.tv. We cover tech news. They're great.
Yeah.
And, as I mentioned at the beginning of last hour, there is a revolution about to happen. The FCC is about to force the cable companies to let you use your own set-top box. Now, admittedly, if you're a cord cutter, you don't have a cable company. That's the whole point. But if this goes through, it means that the market for these boxes will explode. Right now, Apple, Roku, Android TV, all of these alternatives that basically use the internet to bring your television programming sell in the millions. Not very many. They're not huge, and there's no dominant player yet because most people are stuck with their cable company and their cable box. But I do think that we are on the cusp of a revolution. Content providers increasingly are looking to internet distribution as opposed to cable distribution. Look at Kevin Spacey's company, Trigger Street Productions, and House of Cards, amazing television show that was on its way to HBO or one of the premium cable networks. At the last minute, they decided to go with Netflix. Netflix doesn't broadcast. They're not on a cable. They're on the internet. And it was a huge success for both Trigger Street House and for Netflix. Netflix is growing at a rapid rate. I think 75 million subscribers now.
Now, what about recording? Is kind of, I've got DirecTV with the DVR.
Recording's actually easier because in order to record a cable signal, you have to have the cooperation of the cable company, which essentially means you're going to buy the cable company's set-top box. And if it's good or bad, that's what you got. And most of the time, it's not as good as, let's say, a TiVo.
How about using an old computer?
Exactly. You can, once you're getting it over the internet, you can record in a variety of ways.
I've got even an old XP home media center PC.
Yeah, save that. That's like gold because Microsoft stopped making that sucker.
Yeah.
Not XP. Well, they did, but also Windows Media Center. They've killed it. In fact, if you install Windows 10 on that old computer, it'll erase Windows Media Center. Despite the fact that I thought Windows Media Center was quite good. So yes, there are a lot of choices like that. Myth TV. There are also companies like the HD Home Run or the Channel Master. That's over the air. Cable cutting works best if you can get some over the air signals, and I'll tell you why. Right now, while it's easy to get movies and Amazon and Netflix all have rentals, iTunes have rentals. You can see all movies and TV shows. That's not a problem. Even TV shows, while they're being aired, you can buy. So that's not the issue. The issue is live television. And that's changing too. Look at the Super Bowl. We can watch that on the internet. Now, we're going to miss the best part, which is the commercials, but you can watch the internet. CBS is going to put that on the internet. So that's huge. As we see more and more of these shows like the Academy Awards, go internet, I think it'll be easier and easier to cord cut. But for right now, having a live local really will help. We're going to take a break, but we'll talk more about this. This is a hot topic. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888 Ask Leo, that's the number. Walter is in Huntington, West Virginia. Hey, Walter, Leo Laporte.
Hi, Leo. Good to speak to you again.
Good to talk to you. What's up?
Well, I downloaded Google Chrome onto my Windows 7 PC, and I noticed that there's a new icon on the desktop called Launch System Healer. And I looked it up, and it says it's unwanted malware.
Oh, man.
So I don't know how I did this, but anyway, is there some way to get rid of it?
Let me just look it up because I'm not familiar with it and see what category of malware it is. It could be a browser hijacker object, or BHO, for instance, and those are fairly easy to remove and can be removed with some success. But then there's some malware that really puts its hooks into your system and can't be reasonably removed. So they're calling it a PUP.
Yes, yeah.
PUP. And the problem is you can go to these websites and every one of them say, oh, yeah, we can get rid of it. But I'm not sure I would trust that.
Okay.
PUP is not exactly malware. It's not exactly adware. It's a new acronym for potentially unwanted program. That's pretty mild, isn't it?
Yes.
And the reason they call it a PUP, because, well, for one thing, they don't want to get sued for calling it a virus. It is something that you agreed to.
Oh.
And probably, to be a PUP for real, has an uninstaller. So a lot of times when you download software, Chrome would be an example. If you got it from Google, you're not going to get anything else. Google offers it as a download for free with no sidecars. But if you went to a site like cnetsdownload.com or Softpedia, a lot of sites, SourceForge, which are libraries of shareware and free software, they almost always wrap it in their own downloader for improved results. Well, what their own downloader also does is downloads, installs PUPs. In almost every case, for it to be a true PUP, and I'm sure this is, it will give you, might be in fine print, it might go by quickly, a box that you can uncheck. It says things like, hey, we'd also like to install the Ask Toolbar. You'd like that, right, huh? And if you don't pay attention and you just go, yeah, okay, come on, just give me this, come on. You click okay. You're unwittingly installing a bunch of other stuff that you don't want.
I see.
I'll take the P off a pup and call it an unwanted program. It really isn't, but very few people want this system healer. No, I don't want that.
So if I right-click on that icon, am I going to get into trouble?
Yeah, don't run it.
No, okay.
But you should go to your programs and features control panel and see if you can uninstall it. If it is a pup, so a couple of things that make software a potentially unwanted program versus a virus, versus malware. Malware installs without your knowledge and without your permission, and generally doesn't include an uninstaller. It's not what it does, by the way. That's not what we're talking about. It's how it acts. Pups ask you, maybe in fine print, maybe surreptitiously, maybe quickly, but they do ask you so that you, in theory, have the opportunity to opt out, and they are supposed to have an uninstaller that actually works.
Okay.
So I would first check and see, and since it is I'm seeing it being labeled in lots of places as a pup, I would guess that you can uninstall it.
Okay. Another quick question. When I got into my Firefox today, I got what's called a browser hijacker, which is called Cassiopeia.
Oh, okay. So here's the problem. You're getting more than one of these, right?
Yes.
Now I'm worried because this is why, by the way, if you search for how do I remove System Healer or Cassiopeia, if you search for those, you'll see all these people offering software that'll do that. In most cases, more pups.
That's what I was afraid of.
Most cases, those are not going to do what you want. So I don't recommend, and people do this, Googling it and saying, oh, here's a remover, and just running it. I don't recommend that.
Okay.
And the fact that you're getting more of this stuff tells me either one of two things. One, you're kind of blithely wandering the internet and innocent, assuming that everything is good and kind and wonderful and just downloading everything somebody offers you. You're not doing that, are you?
No, I'm not.
No, you're smart. You listen to the show.
Right.
So that means it's the second of those two alternatives, which is that you've got something on your system that is now, and this is where the real risk comes, opening your system to other stuff. And that's why generally just removing a pup may not do the job. If it's more than a pup, if it's something that's actually putting other stuff on your system, you might have some stuff that's easily removed. And the idea is you remove it and you say, I'm good, and you go on, and then the real stuff, is sitting there hiding where you can't see it and can't remove it. And we don't know what. It's a variety of things they do. It can be everything from as malicious as encrypting your documents and then asking for ransom, to just using your computer for spam and popping up unwanted ads and things like that. Right. And anything in between. So it can be malicious, it can be less malicious, but just annoying. I feel bad now because I don't know what's going on. The fact that you've got two of these usually is a bad sign.
Okay.
So there is a program that's safe to use called Malwarebytes.
Okay.
But you have to get the right one because there's lots of people pretending they're Malwarebytes. It's malwarebytes.org.
Okay.
You can. It's free and paid. You can try it. It's really an antivirus for this kind of stuff.
I see.
And it might remove it, and you may be okay. And chances are you are okay. But I just want to point out there's always the risk there's stuff you don't see.
Okay.
And that you've removed everything you think, and you're wandering along blithely, and you still have any number of things on there. That's why, in general, once your system has been compromised, once there's stuff on your system that you did not agree to, then the smartest path is to erase, I hate to say this, back up your data, erase the drive, and reinstall Windows from a fresh, known, safe copy, like a DVD.
Well, I'm pretty a novice at these computers, and I have no idea how to erase the drive.
I don't, and that's a very draconian, extremely, lengthy, annoying process. I'm just going to tell you, it's the only way to be sure.
Okay.
but I feel all right in telling you, start by going to your programs and features, the old, what used to be called add remove, and uninstall everything you see that you don't know what it is, that you don't, if you don't recognize it, uninstall it.
Okay.
Then there is something that will find the worst malware. What, you said Windows 7?
Yes.
Okay, Microsoft offers a free antivirus for Windows 7 called Security Essentials. You can get it at Microsoft.com/security_essentials.
Well, I have that.
Oh, good.
But
that's the problem. If it's not a virus, an antivirus will say, well, look, he's asking for it. I can't really tell him he can't install something he wants, so I'm just going to have to say okay. And that's why antiviruses aren't really all that useful. You also have, because you update regularly, the Windows Malicious Removal Tool, MRT, and that's also been taking care of you. But this stuff still gets on because it's in this gray area. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Yeah, uninstall everything that's date is the same as System Healer. Because chances are all of that stuff got installed at the same time. Leo Laporte, the tech guy, 8888 Ask Leo. That's the phone number. Dennis in Yorba Linda, you're next. Hi, Dennis.
Hi, thank you very much. I got a quick one for you. I'm going to be in Rome this summer and want to renew my wedding vows with my wife.
Oh, my goodness.
I know.
How beautiful.
Yeah, please don't tell her. It's a surprise.
Okay.
So,
shh. Radio audience,
anyway,
you're sworn to secrecy.
Thank you. What I'd like to be able to do is somehow to live stream this to the people back home.
Oh, yeah, sure.
She has an iPad, a small iPad.
All right.
We have a phone. And so is there a way to do this and to get them involved so at least they can watch?
Yeah. As long as you have a sufficient internet wherever you are, and if it's on a phone, that could be 4G, although be aware of the roaming charges in Rome. You don't want to be paying international roaming fees. You could get a $5,000 surprise when you get back. So either arrange with your carrier for international data, and you'll see the cost, and you can estimate how much it's going to cost. Or better yet, I presume you're going to do it somewhere with Wi-Fi. Everywhere has Wi-Fi now. And if there's sufficient Wi-Fi, you'll be great. And then there's a program called Periscope. You can put it on your phone right now and play with it. And it's owned by Twitter. There's another one called Meerkat that's a competitor that's independent. In both cases, you put them on your phone or your iPad. They have apps for all the major mobile devices. You start the recording. It sends out a tweet saying, hey, Dennis and his wife are renewing their wedding vows right now. And people can click on that link and watch. I think Periscope is the one for you. What's one of the reasons is with Periscope, as they're watching, they can tap the image and send you hearts. And what you will love, in fact, you might want to get a bigger display so you can show this, all the hearts flowing from all your family and friends watching.
Oh, how cute is that?
Yeah. Practice a little bit with Periscope. It's very easy to use. There are other ways to do this, but boy, there's no easier way than Periscope. And as long as your friends and family can click a link and go to, they're on a computer or a mobile device and go and watch, on a computer or a mobile device, they can see the stuff happen in live, in real time.
Awesome. Very cool. Okay. Thank you. That was it.
Congratulations. Have a wonderful time. Were you married in Rome?
No. We were married where? Lake Arrowhead, California. So.
Oh, but what a romantic place to renew your vows.
Well, we hope so.
You set a high bar for all of us.
You crack me up. Thank you.
Thank you. Take care.
Once again, it's a secret. Please don't tell her.
I think she's standing right next to you. I think you're in trouble. How many years has it been, Dennis?
25.
Wonderful. That's romantic.
Thanks.
A lot better than a wooden clock. Chet is in Broomfield, Colorado. Hi, Chet.
Hey, what's happening?
What's up?
Well, I'm a small business owner. I've got a Note 5. I've had it for about 2 months now, and I still haven't figured out how in the Sam Hill do I get Windows on this thing to where I can write notes. Where I'm a business, I can type something out.
I know, it's not obvious, is it? So this is something Samsung has sold for some time, the idea that you could have a note-taking app in one pane and a browser in another pane or something like that. Now, first of all, the apps have to support it, but most do. The way you get to it is by launching the Task Manager. So you know that button where you see all your recents?
No. I'm looking for it here.
Yeah, you know, it's funny because I don't feel like they really do a good job of documenting this. I'm the guy who put the Note 5 pen in the wrong way. And they said, well, if you'd read the manual. And I said, what manual? It comes with a little brochure. And they said, oh, no, you got to go online to read the manual. Well, thank you. Where does it say that?
Yeah. Okay, hold on here.
So if you could even Google Note 5 and multiple windows, and it'll actually give you images. They call it, you know, split screen. So you press and hold the recent button. And I'm trying to remember, and on modern Androids, that's a square. But I think on Note, it's like multiple windows kind of cascading down. I think on the right side at the bottom. So you open up that window, the recent button that gives you the multiple windows, and then pick the app you'd like to open.
Well, what I want is I guess it's Note 365 or Windows 365, I think.
Well, you want to use Office, in other words.
Yeah, I want to use Windows Office, type something up.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure, I don't have my Note in front of me, but I'm pretty sure it will do it. You need to have the Office app. But you could do it in a website, too.
Well, what I was thinking is if I could get my letterhead somehow, the blank sheet mounted on my phone, then I could type, whatever I need out and email it, sign it right there, and then I don't have to carry my computer around all.
But that doesn't need multi-window. You could do that on one screen, right?
I don't know.
That's not. You don't need the multi-window. You just need to open Office 365, and they do have an app. It's funny because Microsoft has been really good about making their touch version of Office. They call it Touch First Office, available first on iOS and then on Android, long before they offered it on Windows Phone. In fact, I think they still don't offer it on Windows Phone. Huh? So get the Office 365 app. What I would do is save your letterhead to something like Dropbox or email it to yourself as a file, and then save it on your phone, and you'll be able to open that as a template. You can work in a single window, and you can even have your autograph as an image. I do that all the time. Paste it in. Shouldn't be too much. That's why you got a Note 5, because it's a phablet, and it's got a pen and everything. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. The Giz Wiz coming up. Our show today brought to you by Epson. I want to talk a little bit about the Epson EcoTank printers. Lisa just got one at home. I've had the Precision Core, the Workforce. I love it. I'm an Epson fan. I've been an Epson printer user since the very earliest days. The FX80, the MX80, the MX100. That was the wide carriage. Burston Decalite. Remember? I've been an Epson fan since the 80s. And they've gotten better and better. I've used Epson for my photo printing. My Workforce Pro is a multifunction printer. It can copy, color copies. It can print in color. It does everything I want. And it had the Precision Core technology, which was this amazing technology they brought up from their industrial printers, 40 million dots of ink a second. So my printer goes, and it's done. But they had to one-up me. And now they got the EcoTank. Same Precision Core technology, same great printers, same multifunction printers. But all the ink comes with the printer. 2 years of ink in the box. Lisa just got one. She one-upped me. She got the ET4550. This is a great printer. And because it's got the Precision Core technology, you got very fast. As I said, 40 million dots per second. Vivid colors, laser quality, really crisp black text. It does, it prints in a variety of media, like stickers and everything, plus two-sided printing automatically. I use that a lot, save paper. A 30-page auto document feeder that really works. And it prints wirelessly from your smartphone, just like our last caller. Yeah, you can print from your tablet. It works with Apple's AirPrint, Google Cloud Print. I can even scan to the cloud, which I do a lot. When somebody says, I need a document, I scan it up to my cloud, and then I share it. It's awesome. But now, Hers has 11,000 black pages of ink in the box. She won't have to buy ink for 2 years. No more cartridges. It's about 50 ink cartridges worth, but she doesn't need them. Because when it's time to buy more ink in a couple of years, she'll just buy the bottles. They're very economical. Now, it's not just the 4550. They've got a whole line of them going all the way up to the work group size printer that can print, I think, 20,000 pages in between reloads. Now you have the freedom to print without running out of ink. It was easy to set up. I said, Lisa, let me set it up just so I have the experience of it. She let me do that. She let me set it up for her. And it was a snap. Epson.com/ecotank. Visit them today to transform the way your home, your office, or your work group prints for the best combination of ease and value. Turn to the new Epson EcoTank printers. I just have to step aside here for a moment and say thank you, Epson. This is a brave, bold step to do this. To put the ink in the box and to just kind of eliminate what used to be a huge profit center for these companies, and just say, no, you know what? We're just going to put the ink in there, and we're going to charge you an affordable amount of money for replacement bottles. That's just great. Learn more at epson.com/ecotank, epson.com/ecotank. The best printers, and now the most ink. Epson, exceed your vision. All praise to our great musical director, Nathan Staten, spinning the discs for the show today. Heather Hammond, our phone ranger, answering your calls. It's been a great day, and, of course, the best way to wrap up a Tech Guys show, Mr. Dick DeBartolo, Mad Magazine's maddest writer. Dickie D, good to see you.
It's the same, sir, and how are you?
I am great. I have the beef team in here with me.
Oh, I thought you gave up beef.
Well, I kind of did, but these guys, they're from Purdue University. And they're here to see you, In fact,
really,
you may know Beef Team from the chat room. I think he should be your chat room celebrity of the week.
You know what is so funny is I just typed in Beef Team.
Now
I typed in beef and hit tab. And it didn't complete it. And I said, well, where the heck is he? Okay.
So Phil and Ron and Scott are with the Purdue University Animal Sciences Department.
Oh,
They're
okay.
experts on beef. They were actually out for the National Cattlemen's Beef Association convention in San Diego. We've been talking beef.
Oh, okay.
Did you know, for instance, it's what's for dinner?
Really?
I had no idea.
Well, I better get to the store.
Dickie D, what do you got for us today?
Well, Leo, you and I have every conceivable way, you more than me even, to make coffee. And we both... I
counted
you still
it.
like coffee, right?
Under my counter, I have like 12 different ways to brew coffee.
Okay.
And the one I used is the one you taught me about, the Aerobee AeroPress. I still think, to this day, it's the best coffee making method ever.
For $25.
For $25?
Yeah. So now, as a fellow coffee lover, do you know at what temperature you enjoy coffee the most to drink it?
Well, you mean like to drink it or to make it?
To drink it.
No, I know I make it at, I boil the water, so 212, I guess.
Yeah.
Although my espresso machine's set for 200, but I wouldn't want to drink it that hot. It would burn my mouth.
No. Well, evidently, real coffee lovers know the temperature at which they want to.
I'm not a real coffee lover.
No, neither am I. I was heartbroken when I spoke to the people at EmberTech.
EmberTech.
Because EmberTech has their new EmberTech mug where you dial the temperature on the side.
Oh, my goodness.
That you enjoy coffee the most.
And it keeps it at that temperature?
Leo, it's kind of amazing because it can go in either direction. If the coffee is too hot, they have electronics in it to cool it down.
No.
If it's too cool, it'll bring it up to temperature.
Well, this must cost $100.
Well, more. But wait, it's more.
There's more. It's got a little LED readout.
It's got a little and a built-in battery. So if you're traveling or walking around,
wait a minute. It has an app.
Oh, it has its own app. You can actually, if you're away from your desk, you can set your mug. I know.
A coffee mug with an app.
With an app.
What a world.
Can cool, can heat.
It's got a Apple Watch app.
Yes. Now, it is expensive. It's $129.
I'd pay twice that.
But they raised $350,000
on Kickstarter.
Oh. And it comes
You know what?
with
I backed the wrong mug.
Oh, what did
I
you
backed the Temp Perfect mug. And it's been 2 years and still no sign of it.
Oh, my God.
I backed the wrong mug. Is it too late to
I think it is. Unless the company changed their name to
No,
Embertech.
this isn't it. Oh, man.
But wait, there's one other thing.
More?
Yes, it comes with a charging coaster.
Of course it does.
If it's on the charging coaster,
Yes.
it'll keep your coffee or soup or whatever you put in it.
Oh, you can put soup in
at
it.
anything you want. Any liquid, it'll keep it at that exact temperature for 2 hours away from power or for as long as you want if you're connected to the charging coaster.
Let me just check my Kickstarter, which is really the land of lost dollars.
It is the Sky Mall. It is your new Sky Mall.
July 2014, the Temp Perfect mug, coffee and tea at the perfect temperature. July 24th. So it'll be 2 years this summer. But the good news is I only gave him $40.
Oh, okay.
So it's a lot. It's less money to lose.
And did the $40 entitle you to a mug?
Yes. Well, to an imaginary mug, yes.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah. Well, it might be better to pay $129 and get a real mug. Anyway.
It says estimated delivery July 2014.
Oh, for yours?
Yeah, I don't think I'm...
Yes, yes, okay.
Now, on the other hand, my latest Kickstarter is a floating Japanese bonsai tree. That's going to be great. It floats.
Like for the pool?
No, not in water. It just floats in the air. It's called air bonsai. Yeah.
It sounds more like a video game.
Yeah, next time I order something, can I call you first?
Yeah, please do.
The video looks good. It looks like it just floats in the air.
Well,
it's a floating bonsai. They've raised $500,000.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
I am the biggest dummy ever. I am.
No,
they must see me coming.
We both like weird stuff.
They must see me coming. I just realized I spent $270 on an imaginary floating bonsai.
Oh my gosh.
That's not going to happen.
Well, there are those speakers that float in the air. Then we had the lampshade that floated.
Can you get me a mug that floats in the air?
Not yet.
Oh, what am I? I'm so stupid.
Yeah, I'm not quite. What is the reason for that? So you can dust under it?
But I did get this, and this was a Kickstarter too. This is the Loom Cube. I'll have to tell you about this. I was talking about it earlier on the show. I'll tell you about this later. It's just a really
very good.
It's a really bright light you can blind your friends with.
Oh, good, very good, and erase wrinkles at dinner.
So again, what is the name of this mug that actually is being made and is sold?
The Embertech. So it's embertech.com.
If I can get my $40 back from the Temp Perfect mug, maybe I'll buy one.
Yeah, then you'll only need $90 more.
Dickie D is the GizWiz. That's what we call him because he always brings us great gizmos and gadgets. You'll find his website, gizwiz.biz, gizwiz.biz. And there's always notes there about all the gadgets he talks about here and on ABC World News Now and all the other places he appears. And there's also the What the Heck Is It contest, a chance to win an autographed copy of Mad Magazine, always fun. And you can find out about his podcast, the GizWiz Podcast, now heard weekly on most of these computers.
Stations.
Yes. All you have to do is go to gizwiz.tv for that one.
With our buddy OMG Chad.
Yes. He's my hero. Thank you very much, Dickie D. We'll see you later. And don't forget the beef team is waiting.
Okay, I'm waiting too.
They're what's for dinner.
Okay,
all right.
good.
Thank you. We're out of time today. I don't think I have enough time to take another call. So David and Noah, I'll tell you what, we'll get your information. We'll get you on the next show. You get a jump your place in line. It's like one of those Disney fast passes. We'll just jump you up into the front of the line. And I thank you all for being here. A reminder, the website has everything I talk about, including your tip of the week, your product of the week. It's all at techguylabs.com. We even put audio and video from the show afterwards. So you can see what I look like, which is always a great disappointment. But, I warned you. techguylabs.com. Thanks for being here. We will see you next time. Have a great Geek Week. I am Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. Well, that's it for the Tech Guy Show for today. Thank you so much for being here. And don't forget, it's just the tip of the iceberg. We do nearly 30 shows on the Netcast network. It's called TWIT, T-W-I-T. It stands for This Week in Tech, and you'll find it at twit.tv, including the podcasts for this show. We talk about Windows on Windows Weekly, Macintosh on Mac Break Weekly, iPads, iPhones, Apple Watches on iOS Today, security on Security Now. I mean, I can go on and on and on. You even get your daily dose of tech news with Tech News Today and Tech News Tonight. And, of course, the big show every Sunday afternoon, This Week in Tech. You'll find it all at twit.tv. And I'll be back next week with another great Tech Guy show. Thanks for joining me. We'll see you next time.